Well, you're supposed to practice the lines with me. You just sit out here all day and watch, and then you want me to do everything. And then every time the camera goes off, you start talking to me and tell me everything I do wrong. But you won't talk when the camera's on. Yeah, must be nice. Welcome back to the channel, axe lovers, axe hafters, axe throwers. Dave and Wes, Wes and Dave, we are from Midgard Axe. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are ready for this one. This one's gonna be a cool one. The American Fork and Hoe Company 1944 stamped hatchet. What a cool hatchet, guys. I'm gonna kind of walk around the camera here to make sure that this camera picks this up, okay? I want you to see the markings on it. Stamped US, American Fork and Hoe Company. Dated 1944. Look at that, guys. I don't know if that's the original handle that was in there. Probably not, but man, that is a cool hatchet. What a cool hatchet. Just from the era, guys. I'm a big, if you guys don't know this or not, but I'm a huge history buff when it comes to American history and when it comes to Old Norse stuff. And I really wanted to do something with World War II era stuff. Guys, as you know probably already, and some of you probably are too, I'm prior military, and I'm pretty patriotic, and I wanted to do something for you know, the World War II area, the great era, and I thought this would be an awesome thing. I actually had been thinking about doing something like that for a really long time. I just couldn't find something that I wanted to do, and I happened to stumble across this. If you guys have not checked out Etsy, ETSY, it's an app. You guys really should check out Etsy. They have a ton of axe heads on there for sale. People selling them all over the country, all around the world, and they have some cool stuff like this. These things are not super rare, but they are kind of rare. I found a lot of them on eBay, but like I said, I got a really good deal on this from Etsy. The American Fork and Hoe Company started out in the early 1900s. They acquired Kelly Axe, Black Raven, which if you guys don't know, they make some great axes. I believe they're out of business now, but if you guys can score a Kelly Axe, a Black Raven axe, please let me know, because I want to get my hands on one of them. They're awesome axes. Then they transitioned into what you know today as is true temper. From the research I did on the American Fork and Hoe Company, they did make bayonets for certain weapons, and they also made axes for some USGI guys, which is why it's stamped US on it. I don't know if this was used during World War II. It's stamped 1944 with the US emblem on it. I'm not really sure, but it's still cool to have something from the World War II era. So in this video, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna restore this thing. I'm gonna restore it to my liking and my taste. I have two handles that I'm contemplating on using. I'm not really sure yet, but we're gonna restore this axe head first. If you guys can see or not, it's still got part of the wooden handle in there with the step wedge in there, the metal step wedge in there holding the, I don't know who seated that, but yeah, guys, we're gonna redo this the whole thing. I'm gonna rehaft it. We're gonna restore this head. It's gonna be really cool. So let's just get into it. All right, guys. So let's get this old handle out of this axe eye here. And if I haven't told you before, this is some of my favorite hafting. I love restorations. I love doing restoration projects with old axe heads. They're so much fun. So let's go ahead and knock this thing out. Start from the top. Push it down through the bottom if we can. Should go pretty quick. Bam! Bam, bam, bam. All right, guys. Let's take a look. I'm interested to see what's inside this. Can y'all see that? Yeah, y'all can see that. Oh, look at the size of that step wedge, guys. Good gracious. Actually, there's two of them in here. Look at that. There's two. That's pretty cool. Wow. This looks pretty old. I can't date it, but I wouldn't be able to date that metal. Maybe you guys could. It looks old though. But yeah, they put 2 of them in there. There was 2 step wedges in there. That's why it was such a pain to get out. I didn't see that. I didn't see this one. I saw this one. I didn't see that one. Pretty cool. I wonder what the idea behind that was. Maybe it came loose and they used the second one to try to seat the head better. That's probably what happened if I had to take a guess. Probably came loose, so they shoved another one of these in there. One thing that you want to do when you get these old heads or a head that's rusted, you want to make sure that inside of the axe eye is not rusted, okay? If you have an axe eye that's rusted on the inside and you haft this thing, it's going to start eating itself from the inside. You don't want, it'll cause problems. So if in any event, make sure you clean out all the rust in here. I know there's some really advanced rust eaters out there, liquids that you can put this probably in a bucket and eat the rust out of there, and it's very little work for you. But guys, I'm more of a hands-on guy, I like doing things physically. So I'm gonna take all this rust off by hand and show you how I do it. That's just how I do things, guys. I like a little bit of work. I like a challenge. So let's get into taking the rust out of this eye and get it all out of there. I didn't apologize before. Sorry about the wind. It's windy out here. So I was taking a look at this axe eye. I'm gonna bring you guys in close. Have a look at that eye in there. It's not that bad. It really isn't. On the inside of that eye, it's not pitted or anything. It's just surface rust. So I'm thinking with some WD-40 and a wire brush, I can probably get most of that rust out. So let's get some WD-40 out, wire brush that thing and get it nice and clean on the inside. All right, guys, got some trusty WD-40 here. I'm gonna spray it in here. Now we're going to take this wire brush here and get inside here and clean this up. Getting all the way down to the bottom. As much of this rust out as we can. I might have to use a file to get in there to the spots that I can't get with this brush. Now I just folded up some sandpaper to get inside the eye and those really sharp crevices that I can't get with that brush. Try to get a bunch of the rust out as much as I can. All right, guys, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a Dremel. I'm gonna use one of these wire wheels. Luckily, I've got one that's already kind of worn down a little bit that'll fit inside that axe eye and it'll help me get rid of that rust. Alright, now I switched over to this wire wheel here, and this one seems to be working a little bit better. Alright, now I'm going to switch over to this wire brush here that'll help me get down into this area here that I couldn't with the other wire brushes. Ooh. Got the majority of the rust out. You guys can see in there or not. Just got it all out. Kind of hard to see, but there's no more rust in there, that's for sure. So, cool. All right, let's move on to the actual head, to the outside. And it looks like somebody's been using the back of this pole here for beating. You can see there, it's a little, see how it kind of comes in and divots right here and then comes back out. I'm gonna try to realign all this, realign this back here. Take all this off. I don't want to mess with this. I want to keep this. I don't want to mess with the markings. I don't want to dig too much into this metal here because I want to keep the markings, but I am going to reshape this pole and get all these nicks and stuff out. So pretty even. It's just a little divot right in here, but yeah, cool. Let's get working on this. So let's square up this pole. Kind of stopped midway to show you guys something really quick. So I'm working on the back of this pole. okay? As you can see here, I'm starting to even it out. But you can see here, I'm getting it here, but see how these edges right here look different? It's folding over this way. So it's kind of like, hold it like this, it's sloping. This side right here is sloping down, and the same thing for this side, it's sloping down. So I'm gonna have to grind this more down, and then I'll hit it with my file after I'm done. But I gotta grind this all down until it meets up even on these sides here. All right guys, that about squares up the pole. And that's where I like it, nice and square. Squared up this angle in here, and then the back of the pole. This thing had nasty divots all in it, so it's nice and flat now, so we can use it as a hammer if we needed to. So pretty cool. All right guys, so we have all these chip marks up in here in this area, and then back in here as well, on the top and the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my file and I'm just gonna try to square these edges back up and get these chips out. Edges all squared up as best as I could. The little spot right there I need to hit, I can do that in a little bit. I just kind of want to get those jagged, nasty chunks out of the edges on the top and the bottom. So I'll hit it one more time. I just wanted to do a rough cutout and get it kind of square again. I got some spots down here that need to be got, and this right here. But I'm gonna hit this section right here, and then I'll be able to get the rest with my sander. All right guys, so you can see the top up here is pretty nasty. I normally don't care about that, but because I'm restoring it, I want to make it nice and even. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this down and get it nice and even if I can. Well, not if I can. I know I can, but you guys know what I'm saying. We'll just kind of knock this down and get it nice and even. I want to restore this to a really nice condition. So as you can see here, we got some chips in the bits, a little bit of rollover. I'm going to recontour this bit here with my file. Just want to give you guys a close-up of this bit here. Camera don't like me very well. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're working with. So let's bring out the file and fix this thing. You got a really big one right here. Pretty much got those out for the most part. Got this really big one right here, and I don't want my bit all wavy. So I'm gonna have to really pay attention to how I contour this thing. Try to get it, keep that shape. I normally wouldn't do it like this. I'm having to do it this way so the camera picks up what I'm doing. I normally would stand here like this and go like this, but I don't think you can see it. Maybe you can. I'll do it like I normally do and see if you guys probably can't see it, but this is what I would normally do. Have to kind of change how I do things sometimes to fit into the camera. And guys, I would recommend not using your best files when you're working on bits. Reprofiling bits will tear your file up. So if you got an older file you don't care about, I'd use that one first to see if you can get your shape, to recontour that bit so you don't tear your file up. Looks like we got a little bit of a wave right in here, if you guys can see that or not. Sometimes it's best when you're doing this to kind of take a step back and look at it from, like, maybe looking at it from, you know, the left or right. Maybe looking at it from this way and then going around the other side and looking from this way, you'll start seeing you have little waves in it. So you got to be careful of that. Don't be afraid to get into your axe, guys. Learn as you go, learn along the way. You can take tips and tricks that people give you, but there's just some things that you will learn along the way that you'll find that may work better for you if you do this or that compared to someone else saying, you know, to do it another way. There's plenty of people that I have watched and been mentored by that do things a certain way, and I stay within that. And there's other things I don't. Other things that do my own thing. So it looks pretty good, guys. Here, you want to take a look? I don't think that looks bad at all. I do have a little bit of a wave. Looks like I could fix this area right in here some. But you got to remember, this isn't the final thing, because I'm going to go back over it again with when I go to sharpen the bit. But I do want to try to get a good profile. I'll probably go back over this right in here, just a hair. Looks like it's kind of going up right in this area, but I can feel it dip down right there, and then it comes back up again. So I'll probably go ahead and just round this back off. But for the most part, we got pretty much all the chips out. That was pretty quick. So I went ahead and started working on this side here, the side with the markings on it. This is what it turned out like. Went ahead and knocked all the rust off of it. I like this look right in here. I'm not trying to get everything off. I just wanted to knock all the rust off, and like I said, square this pole up in the back, square this up, and I did that. So looks pretty good. I'm gonna show you guys how I did this on the other side. I haven't done this side yet, but that's basically the difference. Okay, so what I did was I used a 600 grit. I don't want to dig too deep into this. So I'm using 600 grit to go over the top and knock that top layer of rust off. After I've used the 600 grit and I've knocked all the rust off, there are places that are a little bit uneven in here, so that flat sandpaper won't get in there. So that's when I use a flat disc wheel, and I'll go in and clean up the rest of it. Okay, so I'm done with this side. I didn't want to go too rough with the sandpaper. You could use something a little rougher if you wanted to, maybe 320 or go down to 220. But I felt like it would take a lot of the character out of this axe head, which I didn't want to do. I just wanted to knock the rust off. And with that flat disc sandpaper, that got into the little areas where I couldn't get with a flat piece of sandpaper. But this is exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to try to keep as much character as I could, so that's why I went light with the sandpaper. But man, this thing turned out really nice. It left all the slag in there, and it looks really cool. Looks as though the sun has decided to grace us with its presence. It was raining all morning here. Now it finally stopped. Sun's supposed to come out for the rest of the day. Partly cloudy, so hopefully we'll get some good sunshine in this video. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna use some denatured alcohol to clean it off with, and I'm gonna use some brake cleaner. Guys, be careful with this stuff. This stuff is nasty, but it cleans really well. And I'm gonna use those two things, and then I'm gonna go ahead and blacken this head with some perma-blue. Clean any grease or anything that I can get off this thing before I start bluing, because that blue does not take well if you don't clean this stuff good. I really should be wearing gloves, guys, because even your fingerprints, the oil off your fingers will, when you go to put the blue on, you'll see your fingerprints in the metal. Crazy, but yeah, look at that. Okay, like I've told you guys before, whenever you use this perma-blue, sometimes the black doesn't take for a while, okay? So I'll probably do 2 coats, and in between a coat, when I put a coat on here and then I'd put water on it to stop the reaction, I'll come over it with some steel wool, and I'll show you guys what I do. But I'll come over it with some steel wool and then put another coat on, come over with some steel wool, put a third coat on. And then I'll oil it up, and usually by tomorrow, I'll really get the black effect that I'm looking for. It usually takes a while. So if you don't get the exact black that you want, like I said before, give it a little time. Give it that reaction to work with the oil that you put on there. It should turn a little bit blacker as the hours pass. All right, guys, so here it is after 1 coat. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go over it with a little bit of steel wool, not hitting it real hard, just kind of hitting it a little bit here and there. It'll be a little bit darker than this, guys, but this is what it'll end up looking like. It'll be darker than this stuff when it's over and done with, but I'll give you an idea. I decided to go all American. Went with a Hoffman blacksmithing 16-inch hatchet handle, hickory, but yeah, sourced, made there, American head, American handle. Go all American on this one, guys. All right, so we're hafting this head on here. slowly but surely it's coming down. It's gonna look nice when it's done. Got a little curling going on, trying to get it down to the shoulder here, so got a little bit more to go. I'm not gonna bore you guys and showing you chipping wood off. I've done that before, but I'm gonna go ahead and continue working this head down. Hopefully the eye will come out soon and we'll get it down on this shoulder. Here we go. Nice and straight. Got it, guys. Here we go. Go ahead and cut my kerf. When I go to nail that down, it'll come down on the shoulder when I go to seat it with the hammer. So we're good, let's cut it. All right guys, sorry about that, but got sick in the middle of filming this thing. So I had to come back a few days later to finish it up. In the process of me hafting the head, I don't know what happened, but I didn't record the head actually going on. If you guys want to go back and check any of the other videos that I made about hafting, you can. I'm going to do a bunch more in the future, but we're just going to have to show you the finished product with it hafted on there right now. Pretty cool, guys, pretty cool. I did do a really good job of splaying that out on the top, and I'm not going to use a steel barrel wedge in this. I think it looks pretty good the way it sits, so I'm going to leave it as is and see how it works out. But now what we're going to do is I need to finish out the bottom of this knob, give it some more of a contour down here. I am going to leave it a little natural. I want to keep this as natural as possible, so I'm not going to do any crazy pattern. I'm just going to kind of take this down, and because I want to be able to reseat this if anything ever happens to this head, I don't want a knob down here that's going to crack easily. So I'm just going to kind of re-profile it a little bit, get rid of this weird flat part down here and give it somewhat of a contour, but leave enough on the bottom to where I can fix it if anything was to ever happen, because I really like this little hatchet. And don't know what I'm gonna do with the handle color just yet, but let's get into doing this knob, and I'll figure that out along the way. So if you notice, you can probably tell my voice is a little jacked up still sick. Not 100%, guys, but I'm gonna push on this week. I'm feeling a little better. Took a couple days off, well, more than a couple. Took like 4 or 5 days off last week. Kind of just needed to relax and kind of get a little better. Not really sure, some type of, maybe the seasons change. Every time the seasons change, guys, I always get sick. It always happens, so, and then I'll be good. So, but feeling better. Let's tack this knob. I'm gonna take my Japanese razor saw here, and I'm just gonna kind of go up and kind of give it like a normal knob shape. It's just gonna kind of come up like this and then kind of go like this. So give it that platform right in here to smack it if I need to later. So let's go ahead and get on that. There's my shave out. Let's go ahead. And of course, I'm gonna bring up the old wood rasp. As if you don't have one of these, you really should get one, or a 4-in-1. 4-in-1s are great too. Either one of these or a 4-in-1. I have a 4-in-1 laying around somewhere. Those things are great to have. I usually keep those in my truck because they're just great multi-purpose tools, those 4-in-1 rasps. Or farmer, I think they call them a 4-in-1 or a farmer's rasp. Those are pretty good too. So, and I'm just gonna take this and kind of get the shape that I want. These Japanese Shintos are worth their weight in gold. They're great tools to have. If you don't have one, I definitely recommend getting one. They make quick work of wood projects. The reason why I like them so much is because if you want to make quick work of a project, and you want to take a lot of material off really fast, you can, but you can also go really slow and not put a lot of pressure down and do fine detail sanding to where, you know, you're not having to like hold back because it's taking too much material off. You can kind of control what you do with this tool here, which is really nice. Yeah, that's Bert. He's actually not my cat. He's a neighborhood cat from the houses that live down this way, a few houses down that way. We moved in 3 years ago and he has literally not left. I mean, he'll run around, but I feed him, and he's more like a dog. But yeah, he's in a lot of the videos. He's used to me doing this stuff. He's not skittish at all of me throwing axes or anything. Actually, guys, there's a lot of times where I always have to try to find, like before I start throwing axes, I'll try to find him, because he will literally, there's been times where I've thrown an axe in the target and I'll pull it out and I'll walk back to throw another one, and he comes darting around the corner and like right in the middle of, you know, in the yard, right in between me and the target, and he just sits there, and I'm like, Bert, you got to get out of the way, dude. You got to get out of the way. And he just kind of sits there like, whatever. I'm ready to go. He's a good cat though. He's a good cat. And I'm not a cat guy. I've never really been a cat guy. I've been a dog guy my whole life, but he is literally like a dog. He's the coolest cat I've ever seen. All right, guys, as you can see, we have a swell in our knob. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand these sides down, because I don't like those swells. So I'm gonna sand them down and try to get them as close to the handle, you know, dimension as possible, and try to get it in line with that. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna knock this down on the sides here and get this swell out. Okay, pretty simple, pretty easy. Like I said, I'm not gonna bore you to death. I just want to kind of show you what I'm doing here and give you an idea how I knock these swells on the sides down. So it's just simple. Just keep doing this and I would stop every once in a while and check and see how much farther you need to go down. Okay. As you can see, the knob gradually goes up. Okay. So what I suggest you do is start here. If you start down here, you're going to get even more of a taper going from here to here. So start where it's high. This is just my opinion, guys. Okay. Start where it's high, and then start to generally walk it down to where it meets here, okay? That seems to be the easiest way that I found to do it, and it works for me, and maybe it'll work for you guys too. I got my shape that I want on my knob here. I went through and rounded out all the edges. I'm still gonna go back with some sandpaper and take out these nicks and everything, but I've got the shape that I want. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go back and I'm gonna use my wood file here, and I'm just gonna take this sharp edge off the top here and give it more of a soft contour. And I'll show you how I do it. It's pretty simple. All I do is just kind of go through like this. Okay. Then I get the contour that I want, and it gives me a smooth edge right here. And then what I'll do is I'll go back over it with sandpaper just to kind of give it a final round over. But I'll do that all the way around, get this sharp edge off here so it's a little bit better feeling on the hand whenever you're throwing this axe. So that's pretty much it. And I'll go around the other side and do all that, but that's kind of the contour that I get when I do that. Then I'll take some 220 grit sandpaper, kind of just round these edges over a little bit here. And I'll do that all the way across the handle until I get the finish that I want. Make sure all this is smooth, make sure this is smooth, and then we'll be good to go. All right, guys, here we go. I got the knob reprofiled. I've got the handle sanded down, and it is looking good. It is looking real good. I like the way I did that knob, giving me a nice flat spot. If I ever needed to adjust this head, I can, which I probably won't have to. But just in case, I really like this handle, and I wanted to try to keep it with this head as long as possible. So gave myself a little room there to work with. Kind of gave it a, you guys can see that there, sloped it down, and then kind of brought it just like a standard handle would look like. Just recontoured it, gave it a recontour around the edges here, so it's nice and smooth across the top. So when I go to throw it, it's not biting up against my hand, and that's it. All right, guys, so we're gonna go for a mirror polish on this edge, okay? What I'm gonna do is I hit it with my whetstone, which was 250 grit. I didn't hit it with 1,000, I just hit with 250 because I gotta go back over it again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with 220 grit sandpaper and work my way up. Every time I change sandpaper, I'll show you that I'm changing and what grit I'm using. And I'll show you what it does to the bit every time I change it. So let's get started. All right, starting with 220 grit. All right, guys, here's where we're at with the 220 grit. All right, guys, here we go with 320 grit. All right, 400 grit. This is the end of 600 grit right there. All right, guys, and this is 800 grit, the end of the 800 grit. All right, guys, so now that I've gotten to 1,000 grit, what I'm gonna do is instead of using sandpaper, I'm gonna use my whetstone. And the reason why I use my whetstone at 1,000 is because when you're running up those grits and sandpaper, What I do is I have a soft backer, okay? And this soft backer goes on my DA sander. And then when I press down, I have give to it. The reason why I'm telling you that is because when I start at 220 and work my way up to 800, I don't use that soft backer. I use the hard pad that it already comes with, okay? And what happens is that it'll start to dull your bit. So what I do is I use this hard surface to get all the way up to 1,000. Then I go back with my 1,000 grit whetstone and reprofile my edge and get my edge back. Then going from 1,500 and higher, I start using this sponge backer. And I'll just put it on here like this, and then put the sandpaper on there. And then when I'm hitting it, I'm getting give, and it's not tearing up my bit and dulling it, okay? So that's what I like doing. It may work for you, it may not, depends on how you work it. It works for me, and that's what I do. And I just use that hard section all the way up to 1,000. And then I use my whetstone, and then above that I use this soft backer and go all the way up to like 3,000 or 4,000. And it seems to work great for me. So let me get into it, and I'll show you guys after I do the 1,000 grit whetstone, what it looks like when I go from each piece of sandpaper all the way up to 4,000, and then we'll get into the buffing wheels. All right guys, I whetstoned to 1,000 grit, and here we are. That's what it looks like. All right, we got 1,500 grit there. Start to see my reflection. You guys can see that or not. You're starting to see the reflection. 1,500. 2,000 grit. That's what this looks like after 2,000 grit. As you can see, you can really start seeing my reflection now. Look at that. We're not done though. And it's still got its edge. But yeah, it's looking good. It's 2,000 grit. I know the sun's hitting it and you can't really see anything, but when I go to put you can really see my reflection when I do that. But as this is after 3,000 grit, you really start seeing my reflection now. Look at that. See my watch? All right guys, here's after 4,000 grit. Really taking shape now. Really see my reflection. And I realized when I looked in my sandpaper drawer, I've got all the way up to 10,000. So I'm gonna go 5,000 now and then 7,000. I normally stop at 4,000, but I'm gonna go to 5 and 7, see what happens. With all these short stops, this is gonna be a hell of a video to edit. All right, so now we got 5,000 guys, look at that. That's pretty clear, huh? All right guys, here we are after 7,000. As you can see me and the reflection there. That's pretty shiny. We're still not done yet, but that's 7,000 right there. Show you the other side. All right guys, so here's my polishing wheel. It's one that I bought from, I think, Harbor Freight a couple of years ago. It's worked out great. It's been working. Been using it a lot. Don't have any issues with it. I normally have to use three different wheels, okay? I normally have to, this one's a little harder. I normally have to put this one on first, hit it with my axe, then replace it with this one, follow it up, or ending with this one. But I normally don't go to 7,000 grit on my sandpaper. So I'm going to try to get away with not using this one. Starting with this one with this brown polishing compound on this one here. And then finishing up with this one with the red polishing compound on here. So let's hit them with both. And hopefully I was able to skip that first wheel. And we can see what it looks like when it's done. So let's jump into using this one first. When you're using these stationary buffers, some people leave it on there for a while, some people don't. I don't leave mine on there for a long time. Your bit will get really hot. It could ruin the temper if you're not careful. If you leave that thing on there polishing it, pushing really hard, it'll get to where it ruins the temper. So be careful doing that. I mean, it would take a lot for you to do it, but it's still possible. So keep that in mind when you're using these wheels. Then what I like to do is I like to get some car polish. I have some Meguiar's car polish here. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of put some out on the bit, okay? Kind of rub it in. And what this does, it just cleans it up. Gives it a little bit more of a shine. Buff it out. Ooh, goodness gracious. That looks good, guys. Look at that shine. All right, guys, here it is. Not bad, not bad. I like the look of it. Looks pretty good to me. Nice and shiny. Pretty cool. All right, so before we get into coloring this handle and finishing this thing out, let's take a dive and see who won the Ned Foss elephant throwing axes. All right, guys, let's see who won the Ned Foss elephant throwing axes. All right, guys, the wheel's spoken, and it picked number 4. And number 4 is give yourself a raise. Paul. Number 4 was Paul. And guys, how I do it is I go into the comment section, I hit newest comment first, and then that's what your order is in line. And that's what Paul, he got the Ned Foss elephant throwing axes. Congratulations, Paul. Give me a shout, Paul, via email so I can get your information to send it to you. But thanks, everybody, for entering. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next giveaway. That's going to be in the next video. But thanks for everybody for entering, and let's get back to the video. So I'm going to go with a brown mahogany, the trans-tint dye that I've used in the past, that I always use on the channel. However, I'm going to do something a little differently. Normally, I'll mix this with that fuel alcohol together, mix them together, and then apply it to the handle. And that will give you that deep, rich look, like if you're looking for like a deep brown mahogany, if you want it to fully go into the wood and stay. However, you can mix this with bull linseed oil, and what it'll do is it'll give you a hint of the color onto the handle. I don't want to make the handle too dark. So mixing this with bull linseed oil will give me that little bit of brown mahogany on the handle, but it won't be too dark. I'm going to show you guys how I mix it up and how I apply it. And I'll just pour some bull linseed oil inside of here. It doesn't have to be a ton, just a little bit, enough to cover the bottom. And then I will mix my brown mahogany, the trans-tint dye, and I will put it in there. Put a ton, just a little bit, okay? And then I'll mix it together. Now, of course, guys, you're mixing oil with the dye, so the dye will kind of sit on top. So you're gonna have to mix it around. But it actually works. It actually works really well. I've done this before, and it'll actually coat your handle at the same time you're putting the trans tint on it, which works out really well. So here, I'll put it on the handle and I'll show you really quick. I also like doing it like this too, because then I can rub the bull linseed oil into the handle while I'm dyeing it. And what it does is it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like burning your handle almost. It kind of is, I guess you could say, similar to that, where it just kind of like hits the grain and brings the grain out with the bull linseed oil. Because if I was using the denatured alcohol, or that alcohol, the fuel alcohol, it'd be soaking into that handle so deep that it would be really dark right now. But using the bull linseed oil with the trans tint dye, it really just gets in like on the grain. See what I'm saying? Look at that. Come on, camera, focus. See what it does? And I really like that look. And you can apply as much as you want to get it darker. That's basically what it ends up looking like when you put it on there. Kind of cool. Like I said, it gives it kind of like a burned look without having to put heat to your handle. And you're just using the trans tint dye with the bull linseed oil together. And that's what you get. And of course, we have the final product. Handle's dried, axe head's done. Got all my lines done on the knob here, hafted, ready to go. Guys, I really like that handle. That's exactly what I was looking for. I wanted something to accentuate the grain, but I didn't want to lose that almost natural color. And that bull linseed oil mixed with trans tint, that's exactly what it does. It'll do it with any color, and it basically just gives you a little color, whatever you choose. It's a little bit lighter of a version, but it really brings out that wood grain. Man, that looks really nice. At least I think it does anyway. But I hope you guys like this project. The old American Fork and Hoe Company, 1944 with the US stamp on it. What a great little hatchet, guys. I'm gonna keep this for myself, put it on my wall. I've really enjoyed making this hatchet. It feels really good in the hand too, especially since I knocked that knob down. It is a tad bit bigger than the handle, okay? But like I said before, I'm okay with it being just a tad bit wider than the handle. It's a lot thinner than it was, and it feels really good in the hand. I could really use this for throwing and chopping. And like I said before, guys, I don't know if I told you that, but that thing's got a killer chopping profile on it. Nice and thin. The cheeks are nice and thin for chopping and for sticking. I'll probably throw this in a video in the future, throw it around a little bit, but man, it's just a really nice hatchet. But I hope you guys learned some stuff. I hope I was able to give you some information, especially with the trans tint and the bold linseed oil mixed together. I've been saving that one for you guys, and I wanted to put it on a handle and show it to you as I did it. So this was a perfect project to show you guys that trick. Congratulations to the winner of the Ned Foss elephant throwing axes. I'm sure you'll have a great time with them. I know that with all the steel axes that I got from them, they've all been really fun to throw. And if you could, send me a video or a picture of you throwing them. I've had a lot of people, and then I asked people who win axes from me to take a picture or take a video, send it to me. I want to see you guys throwing the axes that you win as free giveaways. It always makes me smile whenever you guys send me that and I see you throwing the axes that I give out. But I appreciate all the support, guys. I appreciate everything everybody's doing to make this channel what it is. Me and Dave are working hard. We're almost up to 2,000 subscribers. We probably would have been there had I done some content last week. Like I said, I wasn't feeling good. You probably can tell in my voice, I'm still trying to get over it. But hopefully this week I'll push out some more stuff. Got this video dropping. And then my next door neighbor came over yesterday and was like, hey man, and he handed me a 32-inch splitting axe that the handle's all jacked up on. He's like, I want you to fix this for me. So that's gonna be a video that I'm gonna probably do this week or next. That's coming up. I'm gonna go ahead and put a whole new handle on for him and show you guys me hafting a full-size splitting axe, which is gonna be fun too. I am waiting to see what the adjuster says when he comes out here on Saturday about that tree in the front yard before I start doing any more long distance throwing or reviewing some of those axes like the Ned Foss carbon steel set of throwing axes, guys. I really want to do those justice, and I want to be able to run around and throw them for distance and test them for real. And I can throw them in the backyard, but I'm only going to get single and double rotations, and it's going to be kind of like stationary. So I really want to give those axes what they deserve, which is a really good run around, throwing hard, throwing for distance. So I probably have to wait until Saturday when the adjuster comes to let me know if that tree's staying or going, so I can hang my target back up and really get into throwing those axes first. I do have a couple other axes sitting inside. I've got a Council Tool, the Hudson Bay pattern axe that's waiting in there to be reviewed. And I also have two other ones in there. I'm not gonna tell you what they are. They're really cool. They're sitting inside too. Sickness got me, guys. I've been dying, but Dave kicked my butt. He said, you gotta get your ass up off that couch and make some content, dude. And I said, okay, Dave. So we're out here today. So I hope you guys really like this axe. I thought it was really cool. The restoration of a 1944 American Fork and Hoe Company hatchet. Thought it was cool. Looks really good. Throw it in the future. But thanks, guys. I really appreciate all your time and your support. Getting tongue-tied now. But yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it here. Until next time. See ya. I'll tell you what, Dave. You keep running your mouth. You keep running your mouth, you're going to end up on that fence post over there permanently behind the shed. You won't be involved in this anymore.